word can be for a season. It doesn't have to last all year. And if at any point you feel like God is nudging you in a new direction, it's completely okay to change your word. Because this isn't about getting it right. It's about walking with God and being open to what He's speaking into your life. Hey there, friend. Welcome to Beneath the Fig Tree. I'm Rose, and I'm so glad you're here. Like, really a lot. And can I tell you something? We all know that Bible reading and prayer are important. In fact, they're non-negotiable. But I also believe that there's so much more to a great devotional life than the, quote, perfect quiet time that we've all been taught about. I want to give you permission to lay down the guilt and the shame about what your devotion life looks like compared to what you think it should look like, and discover how you best relate to God so that you can cultivate a devotion life that you actually love and look forward to. Around here, I'll share loads of inspiration, lots of tools and encouragement, all to help you cultivate the kind of meaningful relationship with God that you've always longed for, but maybe you just didn't know how to make happen. So, are you ready to breathe new life into your devotional journey? Grab a cup, of friend, and let's chat. Hey there, figs. Welcome to 2025. Today, I want to talk about the practice of choosing a word of the year, or even just a word for a season. And if this is something that you've never tried before, or you're just curious about, stick around. But if you're not sure this practice is for you at all, can I just encourage you to keep listening, because you might find that these ideas are actually helpful anytime you feel like God is highlighting a word, a theme, or an idea in your life. So let's start with why this practice can be so meaningful. Why are people choosing a word for the year, or in my case, for a season? Well, it's because it can bring focus and clarity to your life. A word can actually serve as a gentle guide, helping you to focus on what matters most in your relationship with God, or your goals, or your personal growth. A word, a focus, can also be a way to tune into God's leading, keeping your heart open to what He wants to teach or how He wants to grow in you. And sometimes a single word carries so much meaning that it can actually inspire and encourage and ground you in a busy season when there are lots of words around us. Now, I do want to pause for just a second and say this. Don't feel pressured to find the perfect word, because your word can be just for a season. It doesn't have to last all year. And if at any point you feel like God is nudging you in a new direction, it's completely okay to choose the new word and follow a new word. Because this isn't about getting it right. It's about walking with God and being open to what He's speaking into your life right now. So let me share my word of the now, that's what I call it, and how it came to me, because it might encourage you as you explore your own word or theme. So a couple of months ago, Brandon and I went to a leadership conference with a couple of friends from church. And from the moment that we stepped into our Airbnb, I could sense God speaking to me and showing me so much. On the third day of the conference, one of the speakers challenged us with this question. What did God tell you to do? His message stirred my heart, and so I jotted down this thought. My heart needs to be fixed on and predetermined to glorify God in everything I do. And as I let that thought just settle into my spirit, Psalm 37:4 came to mind. And just in case you're not familiar, that's the one that says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." And I found myself asking, "Lord, how do I delight you?" And then over the next few days, this question just stayed with me. And so I began researching the word delight. And I discovered the meaning that was intended in this context. And it was to be soft, delicate, dainty, pliable, to be happy about, take exquisite delight in, to make merry over. And then God led me to several verses about taking delight in him, receiving delight from him, and bringing delight to him. And then last week, as I was planning and praying for the next season, and I was using my power sheets just in case you're wondering, the word delight stood out. And it just seemed to encapsulate everything that I sensed God was leading me toward in the coming season. So learning to live from a posture of delight, not only delighting in God, but also seeking to bring delight to him, it feels foundational for all that I want to do and be in this next season. So how do you really dig into your word once you've chosen it? Here are some practical ways to dig deeper and to keep your word in front of you throughout the year or the season, or even just while it is tugging at you. So the first one is to look up the definition of your word. We're just going to start with the basics, because understanding the full meaning of your word can actually spark ideas and connections that you may not have actually thought of before. And then the second idea is to just explore the Hebrew or Greek. So if your word is from Scripture, look up its meaning in the original biblical languages. And Blue Letter Bible is one of the tools that I use for that. But this can add depth and richness to your understanding of what the word is and what God's trying to tell you. And then the third one is to find scripture or scriptures that include your word. Search for verses that mention your word or its related themes. Write them down, memorize them, or meditate on them throughout the year. The fourth idea is to journal your reflections. Take time to journal about why this word matters to you. What do you hope it will shape in your life? What has God already shown you about it? And then the next one is to create visual reminders. You can design a digital wallpaper, write your word on a sticky note, or display it on your mirror or your desk. But keeping it visible helps you to stay mindful of its significance. The next one is to set intentions or goals inspired by your word. So let your word influence your decisions. For example, if your word is restore, think about areas where you need renewal in relationships, in your health, or even in your schedule. And then another idea is just to invite other people into your journey. So you can share your word with a trusted friend or a community like the Figs Community Facebook group, just for one, because you can actually encourage each other and share insights as you reflect on how your words are impacting your lives. And to make this practice of engaging with the word even easier, I've actually put together a big resource for you, and it's called A Creative Guide to Your Word of the Year, or Now. And it is packed with ideas and journaling prompts and all the things that you can use to engage with your word. So whether you're starting fresh or revisiting your word mid-season, this resource is actually designed to help you dig deeper and keep your word in focus. So the link for that will be down in the show notes. And our scripture cultivation list for this month will be centered on the idea of delight, because I'm taking you along on my journey of digging into the concept of delight. So throughout the year or the season or however long this concept of delight is tugging at me, I'll be sharing the different ways that I'm engaging with the word through reflection and action and creative practices, so that it can help inspire you to discover meaningful ways to connect with your own word. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this encouragement. Remember that whether you choose a word for a year, for a season, or not at all, God's invitation is always to draw closer to Him. If He's highlighting a word or a theme in your life, lean in and explore it, because it might just be the beginning of something truly meaningful and lasting in your life. Thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on the YouTube channel. If you have found this episode helpful, I would be so grateful if you'd take just a moment to rate and review the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and a comment. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Again, either place, whether it's podcast or YouTube. Your support means so much, and it helps others find this encouragement for themselves too. So let's cultivate a devotional life you love, like really love, because it is possible and it's easier than you think. Chat soon, friend.